You're emotionally exposed.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Exposed to what?
I'm raw in a safe way in that I very much feel like I've just like pierced the veil of my illusions and like my programming, and I just like see very clearly, and I can talk about it, and I have a lot of patience with it.
That,
I really,
that's really great.
yeah, it is. I mean, yeah.
How long have you felt this way?
Oh, a couple hours.
It just kicked in.
Do you want to start recording?
I am recording. We're going.
Oh, cool, great.
We are on the air.
Well, hello everyone.
Welcome.
This is an artist talk between Geoff Lewis and Jeffrey J. Byron. This is either number 7 or number 8.
I lost. Who's counting?
Who's counting? Only the networks, only the platforms are counting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was going to say something to introduce what we do, but it doesn't really need any introduction. We're just going to go.
Yeah.
We're just going to go.
So yeah, I mean, I'm very much in. I feel like I'm getting clearer about what my aesthetic is. I feel like I've been going towards some very like dark looking art, specifically some on Instagram that is just like, damn, like that's fucking dark, and I really really like it. And it's like, well, I guess that's what I like, and I guess that's what I click like on, and what I bookmark, and what I want to post. And it's like, well, I can't stay in my aesthetic of 6 months ago or a year and a half ago. It's grown up and it's going in a direction. And it's like, well, you must yield to what you actually like and what actually speaks to you. And if you need to tear apart your museum and fill it up again anew, then that's probably what you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not healthy to stay the same. I don't know. Actually, maybe I envy those who can just stick with the same aesthetic for long periods of time. It's so much work to tear your gallery apart and put it back together again.
Well, I also...
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have to constantly rebrand yourself and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I think you do. I mean, it's like, I don't think you can make branding yourself too difficult, right? Now, I mean, I've sort of slipped into like this sense of like the liquid self, where it's like I'm always changing my bio, changing my picture, changing my name.
Yeah, you do that often.
Because it's like, that's how I breathe. I mean, it's like, in order to keep breathing and to keep speaking, right? And I mean, it really comes down to the choice of, what do you do with your work day? Is it... And like, and I see that as, how do you use social media? Which is, how do you use the blinking cursor? Which is, how do you use your platform? Which is, how do you engage with the massive matrix of opportunity to learn and share every 5 seconds of the day? And it's
Right.
like, if you aren't orienting your entire like mind and heart and soul and voice and identity toward that, you're going to get left behind.
Yes, you have to put one foot in front of the other constantly.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like, I really don't like when I see someone kind of like promoting their safe thing. Like, anything safe really turns me off. Like, it's desperate times. It's desperate times in many verticals, in many ways of looking at reality right now. And if you aren't, I don't know. I mean, I think you got to be desperate. And the washed up artists who I've heard from, who got old and didn't want it enough, they said, well, I wasn't desperate enough.
Yeah, or I was too afraid. Because fear is what makes you do safe things.
Yes.
Or, I mean, laziness, but laziness can also be out of fear.
Yeah, it's a laziness for bravery. you're too lazy to tear your layers. You're too lazy to really like, like the writer Jack London said, you got to go after inspiration with a club, like
Yeah.
chase it down. For me, it's not inspiration. It's actually probably more about fear. And it's like, well, if you're afraid of something, it's like, go write it right now. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I want to talk about this. This is good. This is good. I like this because I feel like oftentimes I'm just the motor is running, and I'm it's mainly just idle. It's like I've got the motor
Oh,
running. I have the motor running in case I need to actually go anywhere, but I don't really realize that because I'm not going anywhere, I'm just standing still. And
you're
like
burning fuel.
I'll burning fuel. I'm going through the entire day like that often, where
Oh,
it's like well I mean it's like the feeling of I'm gearing up to do something.
yeah.
So more of that car motor metaphor, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's appropriate because it's like it's like I fuel my body with caffeine, right? Why do I do that? Because I need fuel. No,
Hmm.
I shouldn't need that. It's because I'm expecting myself to do something that I can't do naturally or something.
Or that it's been too long since you've done it naturally that you forgot that you're actually probably naturally motivated to do it.
Yeah, or I know that I'm naturally motivated to do it, but for some reason I think that there's something that I'm going to have to do that's going to take extra energy. So I might as well have that extra energy in me.
Hmm.
So I'll wake up and drink coffee first thing in the morning, or whatever. But just that attitude
Hmm.
of I am not I'm the blinking cursor. I'm not thinking about the blinking cursor because anytime I do have to write something or draw something or sing something, it becomes much more difficult to do because I'm not putting one foot in front of the other all day long. I mean, you sing every day.
Yeah.
Does it get easier?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was actually looking. My phone kind of ran out of space, so I backed everything up to Google Photos, and I went back to August 2018 and like looked through the videos. And yeah, there was a large amount of very not that good videos of me working on singing.
Well, that's
It
good though. I mean,
is,
you
yeah,
like hear yourself getting better, but also
yeah.
just I think it's interesting that you sing as just another entry in the world is what I
Hmm.
see is what I see from you. It's like, okay, yeah, you've got all your social media, you got all your blinking cursors, and you write every day, and you sing, and you sing. I mean, I play piano every day, but I don't do it with I don't do it with any what do you call it? I do it aimlessly. So
Yeah, I'm learning boundaries are really important for me because like I'm just like so full of fire all the time, and it's like I sort of need little systems to kind of hold things together. From stretching in the morning to morning pages to then, I mean, like I sort of give myself 5 to 7 hours on the computer to just play very relaxed. And I end up sending a lot of messages to people and reading a lot of stuff. But I don't do many defined projects. I really actually don't really do any as far as like, well, I need to do this thing today. Usually when I have to do a thing that I don't want to do, it's some kind of life admin
hmm.
task. But I just don't really sign up for work projects that I don't do naturally because I'm just like so used to just like I'm just gonna like I'm always like when I'm in the zone, you can call it deep work. And I really think that I've managed to like stretch my bandwidth to like 7 to 10 hours a day, where maybe a lot of people have like 3 or 4 or 5.
Hmm.
I'm just I'm always doing stuff. I'm always looking at stuff. I'm always writing down what I'm thinking, either in a message or in a note or in a rereading and reworking an old work. Like, I never take my hands off the keyboard and the mouse. And so I never have to start, really. Sometimes you got to just like write some dumb crap in the morning just to get the thing going. But it's like you always know you can erase it later. But I end up just making these like huge sprawling 100-page collages of thoughts and links and, you know, messages I composed that I couldn't send. Me giving myself therapy, my own demon talking to itself. And it's like I churn out 100-page document every like 6 to 8 weeks. And I mean, I've been doing that all year, and I've been doing that for like 5 to 7 years. And like, I'm in no rush to go and like stop my flow and like say, here are my books. You know, maybe if I screw up enough and I fail to help myself enough, someone will finally bust down the door of my life and come in and do it for me, which of course never happens. But, you know, there's always the dream of, you know, some noun, some editor, some agent, some something that's going to come in and make it all good. And of course, no, you have to become that person.
But you're saying that you don't think about that, or you don't care about it. You just do it.
Well,
I mean, I know that you have created a system for keeping track of the stuff that you do, or do you just write onto a paper and then fold it into a paper airplane and toss it out the window?
No. Well, I mean, with the handwritten and typewritten stuff, it's chronological. And then, yeah, I mean, same with the written on the computer stuff. It's very orderly. So I trust the computer to keep it in order. And so I just like go and go and go and go. And it's like I'm always, you know, I know that making a post is a move to make. It's one of the tools in the toolbox. And sometimes I do that, but I know that it can be done at any time. Right. I mean, it's like another move that I have. And it can be done. And I do it.
Yeah, it's impressive. I don't know many people like you that are that prolific.
I mean, I'm just like not guarded, and I just don't have expectations about what it needs to be.
And you're not a perfectionist. Well, I mean, I don't know what is a perfectionist, but
I'm not. You know, I maybe used to, I think I maybe used to be, but now it's like, I mean, I now see how easy it is to say anything, and it's like so many different things we'll do. Right? If we needed a title for this episode and a description, it's like, well, it's so easy. It's like, let's just think about it and talk it out right now. Boom, 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 and there it is. It's like, well, does that work? Yeah, it sounds good. Cool.
Yeah,
Done.
No, I like that.
Some people would take half an hour to do that, or an hour, or half a day.
Yeah, or a
and
week.
I mean, I can do it in 12, because it's just like, well, if you think about it and then you speak it, it's like, well, how about that? And if that's not good, then you change it and you try something else. Like, I don't know. I mean,
so you're never looking for the perfect thing, or the perfect thing often is just what is.
Yeah. It's just what comes. I mean, the very next thing you do is perfect.
I like that. The very next thing you do is perfect. I think that's tough when people have certain expectations of what you're supposed to do, because that gets in your head, and then you have to either, whether you live up to those or not, it's like, well, I mean, this is the next thing I've done, whether it lives up to your expectations or not. It's what I did, and I've done lots of things that I don't love. That I'm like, this was I didn't put enough effort into this, or I didn't. I don't like the voice. It's not me. Oh, that's the worst. When I do a bunch of work, when I do a bunch of music or writing or whatever, and I think it's so great and so clever, and then a week, a month, or a year later, I'm like, God, it wasn't me. I was trying. I was pretending to be somebody else, and
Yeah,
I wasn't doing that on purpose because then it would have been better. Instead, it's just like, who the fuck is this asshole?
yeah.
Um,
Trying to play a role rather than realize that you are the character and that actually you saying the next thing is the cool thing.
that's such a beautiful thought. That like, and it's something that I think it took me a long time to think of myself that way, and I still to this day have trouble because I don't think of myself that way in the moment. But when people are you don't realize it, but people are looking to you for the answer, or they're looking to
Right.
you for whatever it is you're going to say. And as an artist, it's kind of our responsibility to say like, this is the thing, this is it.
Yeah.
And like and
Yeah.
most of the time, especially if we have clients, like that's what they want. That's because they have no clue. They're clueless
Yeah.
often. It took me a long time to realize that I had to show people what was great, rather than show people a lot of things and go,
Hmm.
"Do you like it? Do you like this?"
And you're always going to be scared because you're never sure.
You'd think after 12, 15 years, I wouldn't be scared anymore, but I still
Well,
am.
I mean, I think one just gets good at not being sure and like letting people push back and then
Yeah.
rolling with the pushback. A minute ago, you made me want to quote the painter Georgia O'Keeffe. She says, "Don't worry about success; it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as success. The important thing is to keep making your unknown known, and to keep the unknown always beyond you."
Hmm.
To me, that means you are the mystery, right? No one is ahead of you. No one else has the answer. And this is the thing. I think what an artist learns is there's no one else to defer to whose mystery is greater than yours.
Hey, you could apply that to anything. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be
you
art.
can. Yeah, you
Uh,
know, any.
the
Yeah,
kick-ass business person, like who knows that they are the mystery. Yeah.
yeah. But it's like once you're there, it's like you stop looking for other people's answers, right? There's a lot of like yes men who are like good at research, and it's like, oh, you got it, you know, the trends, and oh, you know, did you see what this company did? Did you see what this person did? And it's like, stop name dropping.
Oh man, that
It's
is
just
so like I feel like aren't we trained to do that though? Aren't isn't that why we're given such stuff to fill our brains with so that we don't actually have to think creatively, so we can just follow the path that somebody else chose or whatever. Like it's like it's living your life not paint by numbers. It's more like, yeah, it's like living your life via clip art or something.
hmm.
It's piecing things together with with pre-drawn images or something. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is tradition, and there is the literature. There is precedent. You can't just be. Yeah, I mean, you have to study and understand how the form got to this point. Or, I mean, you of course can just not and just like follow your intuition, but
Hmm.
eventually you will come up against the old guard and you will either be
Yeah,
left out and you will like want to get in and you can't get in because you're a threat to their order because they probably secretly miss being as free as the person who has not had their ignorance ruined
yeah.
by all this order.
People tell me all the time I can't do things because that's not the way it's done. And I get tired of hearing it because my response is usually, well, this is the way I'm going to do it and it will work. And that took a long time for me to like come to that point of being able to say those words.
Mm-hmm.
Or to say, I'm going to be the first then. I'm going to be the first.
Right.
And of course, the old guard is like, no, that's not the way it works.
Well, I mean, you have to remind them. It's like, you're not the artist I am. You hired me to bring something different, new, at the cutting edge to this project.
That's a good lesson there. You have been hired to bring something from the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something all
And
artists
it's
should know. Yeah.
and it's like that's why I think you got to live sort of a part of the world of email and texts, right? Like it always blows me away. People will apologize if they reply to a text 45 minutes later. And it's like, dude, like watch me reply to a text 45 days later. Like,
Yeah.
people are so addicted to being
People, yeah.
respectful.
People are often, people don't want, for some reason, people think they're supposed to value other people's time, which you're supposed to value other people's time, but it's a faux pas to value your own time over other people's.
Well, and I always study what people are racing toward, right? I mean, I think people are terrified of deep work. I think most people would be terrified to think what I think every day because it is terrifying. It is monstrous, and it is scandalous, and it is dangerous, and it is a very high temperature. And again, I try my best, and it's always hard and new to write what I'm thinking, even though it sounds like the very basic thing I do all day, which it is. But it's still like, oh man, like the older I get and the more I do it, it's like I really am a fucking monster, and I have to live with it. And it's like, well, there's nowhere to go but to write it out and to keep doing the what poet T.S. Eliot called it continual extinction of personality. You just have to keep surrendering the safety and the comfort, right? Like, even though I know I'm really good, I never can celebrate being really good. Like,
What makes you feel like a monster? Monster meaning something different and horrible, right?
I'm very vindictive. I'm very judgmental. I'm very nasty when it comes to, I'll say manipulative, though I don't see that as a bad word. I just see that as like being intentional and like respecting the gravity that is there in various places. I'm very strategic and careful, and I'm very aware of my own not incentives, but like the way that I see the game, and like I use silence and cunning and absence a lot, and I know that it's a powerful force. Because like I can love you boundlessly, endlessly, all day, whether you're a coworker, whether you're a love interest. I can be dialed in completely and completely intertwine my whole sense of becoming and my whole inner and outer language. I can intertwine with making us one and doing it together. So that's a dangerous thing because you also get a taste of that and then you want more of it.
I think that a lot of people, I know for me, there are moments when I realize that I'm a monster. Meaning, my definition of monster is somebody who scares myself. Um, but for most of the day, I'm not afraid of myself. I don't know, maybe because I'm not doing anything too scary. But it comes out in moments. It's those things that, yeah. And so that's why I asked. That's why I asked what makes you feel like a monster.
Yeah.
Because those are the things that, yeah, those are like, that's the reason that we make art. The reason that
Oh
we
yeah,
write. Yeah.
because you can't put the monster away. I mean, that's really the thing. It's like I can't shut up and obey.
Yeah.
I like the urge to keep saying the thing I'm thinking and writing the thing I want to write. And I mean, like, really, it's about that I have a a vision for where me and the others that I'm so committed to are going. And it's like, well, I can't turn away from the fact that things are being held back right now, either politically, economically. It's like I'm very dialed into the movement and the revolution. I mean, it's happening, and it's like if you don't think it's happening, then you just aren't paying attention, and you think traditional ways will save you, and you're like, I don't know, waiting for politicians to do it, right? No politician's going to do it for you, and it's only going to mean something if you do it yourself, because you don't want to be one of the many hooting crowds. Like, you can't rely on that, on being an audience member, or like, being up in the stands cheering. That's no kind of life. It's like you got to go do it. You got to play a role in it. If someone saves you for you, it doesn't fucking matter. You'll be over it in 2 seconds, and you'll go back on Instagram and get back to hating yourself. And it's like, well, why not just get the hating yourself over with now, and then take the essence of overcoming that and put it into the work? Whether you're an activist, whether you're a stand-up comedian, whether you're whatever, like, you got to be your own redeemer and really go do your own soul healing through the work of opening up and revealing yourself more than you want to. That, I think, is what, like, George O'Keefe was trying to say, is like, you have to keep doing what you don't want to do. You have to keep being scared to do something that might not land. And, I mean, Oscar Wilde said that the true artist takes no notice whatever of the public. They are non-existent. Totally non-existent. The only thing that exists is you and the form, and doing something never been done and pushing the door open. And it's just you and the door. And that's all. And it's like, if you can stay locked on that for 5 hours a day, 6 days a week, just fucking keep doing that. Find any way to stay alive and just keep doing that, because that's the rare thing. If you do that for enough, single digit years in a row without stopping, you will get through, and you will then be unstoppable.
There was a time in my life when I was not afraid. I mean, I had no issues with emptying my mind on the world, but I also feel like I can't really take credit for that, because I was usually collaborating. And I feel like that was a safe thing to do, even if what we were creating together was really not safe. I felt like it's like, even if my audience is just one, that fear is like gone. I mean, even doing this, like what we talk about on this show, it's like, I don't think I would. I mean, it'd be a different thing to just say this alone,
Yeah.
And so, like, and I wonder, like, I think I convinced myself that there's nothing wrong with that, but it made me really, really, like, terrified to create something and share it with the world that was just mine. It made me feel like I needed that crutch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people aren't soloists.
Well,
and that's okay.
Is it okay? Because I feel like it's one of those things where if you're not a soloist, then like do you really know your instrument? Like, I mean, maybe you just play an accompaniment and that's what you do. But you're like, I don't know. Then it's a task. Um, I don't know. Some people exist to make other people sound good.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being an editor, and there's nothing wrong with playing second fiddle, as it were. Because yeah, I mean, not everyone can be a star, and it's like, I mean, do you want to get up there and like dance naked in public?
you don't care what other people think of you in general,
I
right?
think I have to dance naked in public.
Yes. Yeah, you think that you have to dance naked in public.
Well, yeah, I mean, the urge is there, and I'm almost more scared of waiting than I am of just going and doing it. Because like
Yeah.
I sort of like can't live in my own rules anymore, so I need to go break them. Whereas I think everyone gets comfortable living in some set of rules, and that's really when their life kind of stops, when they sort of make their rules for themselves and they follow them. Because I mean, human beings, it's a very rule following animal, and it's you and your inner voice all day, just like giving yourself permission to do things or not.
Yeah.
And I'm always transforming the rules. That's frankly what I write. I mean, I write to touch the rules governing what I think the boundaries of my limits are. And then, of course, I complain about my limits because I reach them and I can't go any faster or go any further. And I realize I'm small and pathetic and lonely and angry and sad
What kind
and
of limits are you talking about?
childish. Oh, good question.
Because as soon as you reach your limits, can't you just pivot to limits you haven't reached yet?
Yeah.
That's what I do, and I really need to keep going.
Do you want to give us a concrete example?
Oh, I mean, like if I feel like I concrete. Okay, yes. If I'm writing some music and any kind of limits, whether they're hard, like I'm out of time and I can't produce anymore, or I just don't have any good ideas left. Like I just feel like everything I put down is garbage. I feel like there's a way that I can turn my mind to something else that will occupy it creatively.
Mm.
And like that can be that's my thing. It's like I'll pull out my camera and take photos of things.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
I'll write. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm trying to I try to do that more. I mean, I try to make an effort to do that because I don't want to stop. I have a habit of kind of turning off the creative part of my brain and just consuming shit.
Yeah.
And I've talked about that before, and it's one of those things that just like I don't know why I do it. It's almost like a drug. That's what it is. It's like I'm filling the void with other people's voices, and not in a constructive way, really. Not really. I consider it constructive because I feel like I'm soaking up some sort of culture or news or something like that. But and maybe I am,
Well,
but
I
I'm not
mean,
turning it into anything good.
very plainly, what you're doing when you're reading content is looking at what other people did with their creative impulse. Whenever I'm reading stuff, it's like an instant empathy, right? Like I sort of turn away from my own stuff and like scroll through theirs, and it's like, oh, that's what they're doing with theirs, and I, in a sense, like become them. When I see it, it's like I know what it took to make that happen. And it's like, oh shit, that's what they did with them. Right. And so it's like what I do with me is a metaphor for what they do with them.
Yeah, I guess it depends
And
on.
I turn back.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like if what you are reading is, or like where those words come from for the other person who wrote them, right? Um, Because if, well, maybe not. Maybe it's constant empathy. Maybe it's,
Well,
most
yeah,
people
I mean,
don't, I'm not usually thinking about somebody else's perspective when I'm reading them in this sort of
oh man,
drug induced
that's so weird.
content consumption haze is what it feels like.
Well, I mean, I know that they're a creator just like I am, and so whenever I'm reading their stuff, it's like, okay, I'm tuning into the bandwidth of them, of like being them. Yeah, I mean, this is something I do so much and is so important that like when I read their stuff, it's like I sort of like hop over. It's almost like a train jumping tracks, and
See,
it's
I don't
like,
do that naturally. I mean, I do as an artist and an instructor. I can be an active observer, and I can, I can, I can do that. I can think about perspectives and point of views. But as a vegetable, I do not.
well, maybe here's what it is. So like when I'm pushing all the time, I sort of know that I'm doing it at the same time as other people. And so when I look at their stuff, it's like, okay, let me see what he did with his push. Let me see what she did with her push. And it's like that helps me do my push. And then I go back to my push. And then people look at my push and say things about it.
Yeah, I guess if you're constantly making yourself uncomfortable, then it becomes pretty fun to see other people making themselves uncomfortable too.
Well, and it's not necessarily uncomfortable. But it's like, well, when it comes time to go to get into singing, it's like, well, time for another, you know, get better than I was before, and like put another brick on the top of the pile of doing the best work I've ever done. Right?
Why?
It's
Why do
like,
you sing? Why do you sing?
um,
Because you sing other people's music.
yeah,
That's an interesting thing that's a great thing to do as a hobby. It's an interesting thing to do. I think a lot of people probably do it here and there, but they don't do it as a regular daily.
yeah, and it's like I'm like pretty methodical. It's like I like do a breath warm up, I do a vocal warm up, and then I go and like record 8 to 10 songs, and it's like I do that every night.
That's a normal
And
thing to do for a professional vocalist, for
yeah,
a voiceover artist. That's totally
yeah,
normal. But for somebody who likes to sing because it adds something to their life, I'm curious. Why do you do it?
that's not yeah. I mean, it's not a hobby.
Uh-huh.
It is. I mean, I
It's
guess
not a
it's
hobby. We
no.
haven't defined what the word hobby means.
We have not. I mean, it's part of my job.
I hate the word hobby.
Yeah, I don't use it. Yeah, I mean, I've sort of decided that it's my job. If it, you know, there's all sorts of reasons. You know, singing is like a full-bodied reading.
It's a
It,
full-bodied reading. Yes, one of the
yeah.
first disagreements we ever had was whether lyrics were written to be read or to be listened to, to be heard.
And I think it has to be both. Because if they're any good, you're going to want to read them. Well,
I
yeah,
thought no, most lyrics were written to be heard and not read. Until I started to read more lyrics, and I thought someone must have wanted these to be read. So,
I mean, if anything's good, you're going to look at it closely, and you're going to look at it slowly.
well, I
And you're
mean that
going,
there is some music that that it was written to be read off the staff. I mean, I truly believe that. There's you know there's some Bela Bartok that I honestly think he wrote it to be analyzed and not to be enjoyed with your ears. But
yeah, it was written for the inner ear. Well, yeah,
it's
I
written for
mean,
the brain. Yeah.
yeah.
So singing is part of your job. It's a full body reading. So it's an experience.
Well,
You are experiencing somebody else's art, and you are partaking in it.
well, it's also. I mean, I think it's a more reliable way for me to share my personality. I mean, I think my writing's a pain in the ass. I mean, I think my writing sucks in terms of like reading it and like actually following what I'm doing. It's like a fucking pain in the ass, and I don't blame anyone for not doing it because it sucks. I hate my work.
You hate
I
doing it, or you hate reading it, or you hate
I hate
sharing it with
it.
other people.
No, all those things I like, but I hate it. I mean, my whole point of view is so fucking warped, and I hate it, and I don't think anyone should like it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it might be true. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks.
Well,
Like I hate what I do.
I think my work is really like really dumb. Like that's the dumbest word I could use to describe my work, and I want to call it dumb. It doesn't even mean what it means. That's the way I feel. I feel like everything I do is pretty dumb. I can't even think of a creative word that is negative for my work.
I give. Oh my god.
I can't even insult my work creatively. It just won't happen.
It's asinine. It's childish. It's repetitive. It's unnecessary. It's
It's too much and it's too little.
it's not important. That's what it is. It doesn't do anything. That's why you hate your work. It doesn't do anything because someone
Right.
else could do it. See, because that's why you keep taking paid jobs, and that's always work someone else can do. That's why I never do it.
That's why you never get paid.
Well,
Well, yeah. No, I wish that I envy your ability to be able to build a job around doing what you do and not doing what pays you necessarily.
well, I mean, I feel like I kind of keep the question of who will pay from ever being answered. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And if I do know, then it's the whole thing kind of falls apart. Like, only the whole thing only works if it's done to get out of hell and to make a way forward out of there being no way. And also to do it with and for others, because everyone else, many others, are struggling to find a way and to make life real and to essentially get to be human beings. I think that's the struggle every day, is like for us to get to be human beings.
Yeah.
And you really
Well,
just,
yes, that is the struggle. Yes. Is us to get to be human beings. And we're like we're I mean I don't know. We're trapped playing like 5 different games at once.
you know,
And that's a big one. That's a big one. And then there's shitty games like like how do I keep doing the petty things that I like to do? That's a shitty game. It's a game that we all have to play also.
yeah. I mean, to bring it back to an artist, I like the rapper Notorious B.I.G. In one of his songs, he says, "All I do is separate the game from the truth," and I really like that idea of, I mean, like if you're a truth seeker and you tell the truth rather than whatever is going to keep you safe strategically,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to win. The truth wins out, and even if you make
You think?
anybody.
You think so? I think you might be right.
Because
I think a lot of people really don't like the truth, though. And so therefore, if you are a speaker of truth, you might get crucified.
You might get crucified. But I
Yeah.
mean, those who don't like it and try to keep it shut up and, try to get their salary and safety and whatever, then you get it. And it's like,
It's like,
it's not,
whoops. Whoops, I
well,
got it. Yeah.
well, it's not even that, but it's like, then you can't even be present for it because
Hmm.
you're already on the next, like, if you're at the restaurant, then you're worried about, the check or the next course or the Uber home. It's like, or you're checking your email, right? It's like, how many successful people are just like checking their email all the time? It's like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
You're doing it wrong. You got here, you have it, you are it. Why don't you be it? But it's like, they don't know how to be it, because in all the safety getting, you lose the feeling, you lose the joy, you lose the
Yeah.
smile, you lose. What you lose is the ability to say, listen to a woman. You lose the ability to listen to music because you're analyzing, and really frankly, and this used to be me 5 to 7 years ago. Is like you're asking yourself if you're happy, and that's where your brain cycles go.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't need to, be materially rich and have that attitude. I've like already had that attitude, and it's like, the attitude is the work. It's not about getting your right position in a hierarchy to get a certain, safe path forward. No career stepping stones. Fuck that. I'm no way.
Well, the only reason that, well, the one thing I will say about that is that, like, I think a lot of people fall into, um, maybe they don't need safety for themselves, but they need it for other people.
Yes.
And
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes,
I don't want to
yes.
call that a trap, because that's responsibility right there. True
Yeah.
responsibility is
Yeah.
responsibility for others.
Yes.
And we
I know.
should, and but I think that if you are responsible for other people, you also have a responsibility to, like, to show them that life isn't just about being on to the next thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have a responsibility to others, hopefully these are people you love. Hopefully,
Yeah.
and if they are, then it's it's your responsibility to enjoy life with them.
Well, you hit me in the sore spot where I started this call of being emotionally raw. And really, I'm still vibrating from our last call, which really, really fucked me up. And really, it took me about 5 hours of a strange reacclimation period, because you really kind of knocked the wind out of me in an existential way, which is great. But
I'm
it's like, oh
sorry, but
shit.
not sorry. Yes.
No, yeah, no. I mean, it was very powerful because I really got to confront down in, not even the darkness, but almost just like, I don't know, it's too abstract. But no, the art monster, I think, is a is an archetype and a role worth talking about. A lot of like like a Glenn Gould on piano, a Philip Roth as a writer. I mean, certainly a Beethoven or a Picasso. People who just like ruined the relationships in their life and really did everything else badly and selfishly. Just completely selfish, self-absorbed, narcissistic. And I'm slowly accepting that's what I am. And it's can sometimes seem like an indefensible position when you ask me questions about marriage and you ask me questions about responsibility. I find it harder to be proud of my way, even though it's glorious, even though it's fascinating, even though it's wonderful. It's like, I mean, and like, even as I'm saying this, it's like, oh shit, like, I am that.
I
God
think
damn it, like, fuck.
I really think all intelligent people are narcissistic on some level, and their challenge is to figure out a way not to be sociopaths, I guess. Maybe that's giving away a little bit too much. I think that, it's like we're dealing with trauma. Every single day of our lives is dealing with trauma. We are really fucked up, and how we all get along. That's our challenge, because we all have to get along. Otherwise, we murder each other.
Yeah.
And so we do what we have to do to keep ourselves from doing that. It's well, I mean, we are pack animals too, so it's our nature to be together. Art monsters. The art monsters that we need to empty our minds of.
Well, I mean, so to me, the art monster is someone who is just totally obsessed with the voice and the vision and the work and working all the time. And yeah, I mean, letting everything else fall by the wayside and being like, bad with relationships and romance, being bad with money, being bad with health, like really like living this life. And I mean, frankly, I really live this. It's like I would die if I couldn't do it, and I don't care. So it's almost like I'm always playing like it's the last game of my career. And it's like I'm just going to play my heart out and just go at the very edge, right? Like I really have no sense of like tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. In like half of my mind, I don't. There's no safety. You don't know what's you just have to. I'm totally obsessed with the now, and with the fire.
You don't future trip.
No.
Yeah, I. Do you past trip?
Very much. I mean,
Because I do.
like.
I past trip much more than a future trip.
There's a good quote by the French philosopher Sartre. He says, "I live in the past. I take what has happened to me and arrange it."
Oh, well, I guess in that way, then yes, we all live in the past and do that. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, I live in my memories often.
Sure.
And I love it. I love it. It's kind of like I one of those things that like I realize when I'm an old man, if I get to be an old man, then I want to have lots of memories, and I want to hope that my memory lasts a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really think about that much when I was younger, because I wasn't thinking about what I wanted to die with. Who does? That's future tripping.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I know how much I love it, like I want to make sure that I have more and more, so I gather them up. Gather up memories.
Yeah, I've heard that that's like a person's one possession, and it's like in nothing else are they rich, or nothing else are they poor. It's really about having a memory you want to live with.
It's weird, because some people who are close to me, family, friends, have criticized my like fondness of the past, saying that I talk too much about it, or I think too much about it. Back the good old days or whatever. And it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong, but that's crazy. I'm enjoying my memories. There should be nothing wrong with that.
They're just mad that they lived boring lives.
I guess so. And it makes me sad when I talk to an old friend and I say, "Oh man, it feels like it was just yesterday when I saw you," and they say, "Oh man, it feels like a lifetime ago to me." It's like it's an insult to me. Because I think it's because I remember things so often that they're very fresh in my head. Nothing feels that distant to me ever. I remember so much of my life. I remember what I felt like. I remember the reason I did things. I remember people I liked, and those emotions. I hope they never go away. And yet I'm not the type of person who's got a ton of photos on my phone. I don't think in the moment about making memories. I don't think about it in the moment. Some people do.
A lot of people do. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I was going through content I've made on my phone since August 2018, so over 2 years ago. Yeah, there's this idea that like the more that we put on the computer, the less we exist, and it's almost like if you know you've made a file, whether words or pictures, your brain might think you don't need to remember it. Said another way, or maybe I'll say something else that might fill in the picture more. By not taking pictures and relying on your memory, it actually makes you stronger.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. We're the ability to save an infinite number of photos. Well, a limitless number of photos on your personal device is a new thing, and we've never seen how it affects the human race before. So we'll see. Maybe people will have no memory of anything by the time they're old because it will all be on their personal devices that are linked to them or whatever. That's not a great thought to me. Like people definitely use technology as a dumping ground for things that they can't fit in their heads anymore. People don't memorize things anymore because they can Google them.
Well, it's free up the brain space.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. But when it comes to joyous memories, do you really want to free up your brain space?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Are we about out of time?
We're coming to the end.
57 minutes. Yeah.
Is there any? Do you So we started off this conversation and you were feeling pretty good. Are you still feeling good? Or have I brought you down?
I'm gonna have to recover from having revealed to myself and others that I hate my work and no one should read it and it's stupid and it's a waste of my mind.
That made me feel a little relieved because now I know I'm not alone in feeling that.
It's nice to be a failure. It's actually a relief that it's like, oh, I suck. It's like nice. Yeah. That's good. I'm glad to. Yeah.
I can move on now.
See, we're very advanced players in self-loathing, and someday this will all pay off and make sense.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for listening.
Have a good evening.